Say hello, everyone, and welcome to our pre-catalyst meditation talk. Um, our subject today is on time, and I may be. Um, there are times when I feel like I'm the only one that feels that time is accelerating, and that weeks are going by like days used to. And that this is not just subjective, it's not just I'm feeling that or I'm getting anxious nowadays. It's that that there is a change in the quality of time. And so when I came across Sylvia Sorodaya, and please excuse me for butchering your name. And I came across her video recently around the quality of time and that things are accelerating and we're accelerating around it. Um, I decided it's time for us to pay attention to this for a number of different reasons. Um, Reason number one is, oh, and by the way, in the outline, I sent you a her a link to her video where she's talking about time. Um, I should have had it ready to put in our chat here, but I didn't. And so I will, if I can squeeze that in sometime during our recording here, I will do so. Um, but we've got a couple of things that prompt us to be thinking about this today, right now. Um, one is one is we can misinterpret what all this means. A lot of people think I'm just becoming anxious because these days are so there's so many things going on, and there's so much confusion in the world, and I'm feeling the confusion. It just feels like things are speeding up, and that is not it. Okay. I think it's important for you to not stress yourself out because something is happening that we could predict happening. Okay. And could we predict happening? I did. It's right in the book. It's in Birthing the Nation of Gaia. And it's on the pages where I talk about the five latent powers. And this is one of the latent powers, and it is kicking in. I'll talk more about that in a minute. No, in about 5 minutes. Um, so, so as time gets fluid, first of all, and as time gets um, uh, faster, second of all, um, accept that, accept that it's happening, and you will be happier. Okay, this is not something, or this is not something that standard scientists are going to be able to pick up on anytime in the near future. Okay. Um, we're talking about a power that is outside of the range of what standard scientists believe are things that can happen to people. Um, the standard model, that's what they call it, um, accepts gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and the weak nuclear force, and that's it. There's nothing else. And all that other stuff that's happening all around you is just your imagination. And I think that we are the pioneers. We are on the forefront of thinking about our world differently. I'm sorry, not just thinking about it, experiencing the world differently. Why is any of this important? Because the tools that we need to change our world, some of those tools are coming through in this other realm. Some of the tools are coming through in a from directions that we have not had experience with for a very long time. Okay. So human beings have experience with it. Take a deep breath. This is part of the realm of being human. Um, and there's lots of folks that want to attribute it to space aliens or astral forces and all this other stuff. It's like, yes, but we can do this. Yeah, we can do this. This is another take a deep breath and relax moment. So if we can um, have the experience of additional sets of powers that will um, uh, help us navigate the times that we are facing now, that we're now facing, that it's not going to happen in the near future. It's not going to happen one of these days. This day right here is one of these days. It's happening right now. Now, what is your role in helping facilitate that happening or holding it back? Or pulling your coat over your head and wishing and hoping for the best and trying to opt out of dealing with it. Um, one of the things that we have information on is that the keepers, that's what we call the native people, the indigenous people, the people who were here 10,000 years ago, who knew how to operate in on this planet, knew that fire had to come through certain areas. They knew the fires had to come through those areas so that it would renew and enliven the life that's there. And they knew to plant the fire holding plants so that when the fire came, it would travel in a channel, a fire channel, and stay away from the areas that didn't need to burn and should not have burned, no, should not burn because those areas are needed for the kind of life that doesn't need fire. So instead of saying fire bad, stop it, saying, fire is a natural process. Let's move with this fire. Um, as my friend Carl Anthony has said many times, um, when people are experiencing elemental forces, hurricanes, volcanoes, uh, the fires that went through Los Angeles back in January of this year. Um, he said, for example, an earthquake is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your house on the fault line. A fire is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your house on the fire channel. The volcano is not a disaster. It's a naturally occurring event. The disaster is putting your farm on the slopes of the volcano and then ignoring all the information that you get that the volcano's going to blow, so you need to get off of that land for a bit. We can move with the forces of our society, the move with the forces of the earth, as long as we're not denying and not saying those forces don't exist. So right now, we are experiencing the first of the five latent powers that some of us have been listening to these latent powers for a long time. Okay. Um, but many of us have not had a direct experience of it. I think it's kind of natural that we would deny it. The number of people who are saying right now that that their experience of time is speeding up are getting to the point where we can't deny this any longer. So therefore, it's time for us to pay attention not only to time, but to the other things that I wrote 3 or 4 years ago that are going to be speeding up now and going to become obvious now. And how do we work with this? How do we, first of all, how do we stop being in denial around this? The universe needs us to be um, calm, um, knowledgeable, um, able to help other people understand what happens next. Um, and that is part of our role here right now. For us, for those of us who at least think we're paying attention. Um, I watch I number one, I don't watch broadcast television. I don't have any cable service. Um, if sometimes if you go to a restaurant and you cannot avoid um, the televisions that are blaring. There's a restaurant near me that advertises 10 big screen televisions. I'm like, okay, stay away from that one. I like digesting my food. Um, and um, uh, but there are times when I am on the internet or I'm looking at YouTube videos, and some of them are on subjects that I find interesting. But if they're being projected to me with the, oh my God, the world's coming to an end, and the title page shows people running and asteroids crashing and things like that, stay away from that one. Um, that you can get that information without getting all of the fear generation and the hype, etc. The fear generation and the hype is your choice. You don't have to do that one. Okay. So, um, your part of your job is to calm down, okay, and to calm other people down. Sometimes you don't have to say a word, okay? All you have to do is be in a situation, hold the calm in your heart, and as other people are freaking out, they'll freak out less and they'll pick up your calm. Okay. The other thing is for you to spend some time knowing what we are talking about. Um, the in I wrote it in creating a world of, I'm sorry, in birthing the nation of Gaia. There are several indexes and I'm sorry, appendices, and one of the appendices is on the five latent powers. What are the five latent powers? Well, there are. I've done a couple of videos on them. I actually did a fairly long workshop on one. Um, Before we're done here today, I will try to put those up on the in the chat box so that you can have access to them. Um, but I'm going to talk about the five latent powers right now. Um, I learned about the five latent powers in a cave that was an abandoned Buddhist temple in the Himalayas at the 15,000 foot level. Not a whole lot of oxygen up there. And um, got a major download, got a major revelation. And for those who say, well, who was the revelation from? Was it from the Buddha? Was it from Jesus? Was it from the yak that lived next door? There were no people up there either. The nearest person to me at that moment was about 10 miles away, and they didn't speak English. Um, and Great place to get a revelation. Um, the thing that I learned while I was there was that all the things I'm about to tell you are latent inside of us. These powers are here. It's just that I, as an individual, can't access them. We as collectives, we as the Holonic community, and Holonic is a word I've used a lot. We'll talk about that some more. Um, it's beyond the collective. Um, we've got all the machinery in our hearts and minds and guts to bring out these powers, but we have to link our hearts and minds and guts together to access it. It's not accessible by an individual. Now, um, uh, how many of us does it take to access that? Number one, I don't know. Number two, I'm not sure anybody knows. Number three, let's find out. Okay. So let me tell you about the five latent powers. Um, these dormant energies that the times are calling for us to awaken right now. Um, Number one is global consciousness and global knowing that we can have access to all of the information of our that exists in our universe. We can access it. Um, But again, now there are people who say, oh, yes, those are the Akashic records. I'm not putting a label on them because that label could limit our ability to access it. We can just know whatever we need to know. And that knowing is not owned by any person, any being. It's all there. The second is what I call spatial powers. Um, we can go from one place to another without any intervening movement. Um, we can move either at great speed or we can move without any time differential. Okay. Um, Navigation, which is what the Polynesian navigators used to go from one island to another island in the Pacific, knowing exactly where they were going, not ever having been to the island before, taking only enough food that they needed to get to that island, knowing what they were going to find when they got there, so they knew to take these plants and these animals, etc., with them, and knew all that. plus a lot more that I put in the book. Number three is temporal powers. This is what we're experiencing right now. We're right in it. We can speed up time. We're experiencing sped up time, but we can do more than that. We can actually have the experience of speeding it up ourselves. We can slow down time. We can move outside of the realm of time, and we can move to a completely different narrative. And that's something that we'll talk about at another point in time because I'm running out of minutes right now, before the meditation starts. Um, the fourth of the latent powers are our communication powers, that we can communicate with our uh, ancestors from another time frame. We can communicate with our descendants that may be coming 500 or 1,000 years from now. We can have nonverbal communication with other beings on this plane. We can communicate with transcendent beings, gods, goddesses, avatars, angels, you name them. There's a whole big population of beings out there, and we can talk to them. And we don't need anybody else to talk to them for us. We're going to be busy. Um, and then um, um, the fifth latent power are our bodily powers. Um, this is the one that scientists spend the most time studying, but I actually think is the least important. Um, we can control the aspects of our hearts. We can speed our heart up. We can slow our heart down. There are monks and adepts who can stop their hearts completely. They can do miraculous things. And some of the miraculous things we can do is simply, for example, curing ourselves of a disease, um, helping someone else cure their disease. Um, we can um, we can do things that once we learn how to do this, we can elevate ourselves to a whole new level of consciousness. I think that that's really good. I think that that's something that we should do. Um, it's why I wrote it in the book. But we can't do that by ourselves. We've got to come together. We've got to come together in the dozens, in the hundreds, in the thousands, in the millions. And we will do so by necessity. We need to do this. And we will feel an awful lot better about ourselves and the world when we do it. We need community. We need the communion of human beings. We need the communion of all beings. And we're going to do that.